Not a big one today, because normally we would go over this over the podcast, but we decided to get it out as soon as possible, which is Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor. But we're also going to be discussing, just before them, BJW's Bloody Musou tournament, the opening round, and then AAW, the Independence Day. So we'll kick it off with BJW. So this kicked off with, let's actually do the results, like the spoilers, with all my reviews of spoilers, because I'll go through the match and the results anyway. So we had Cagematch, Kota for Sakafuda and Yoshino versus Hashimoto, Saito, Nagawa. This was pretty much just a hard-hitting, fast brawl. Nothing really happened, I'll be honest, which happens with BJW matches. They can't just get the first few matches in and out straight away. As you can see, a 7-minute time limit. As you can see, Tomato's team won, and I rated it 2 stars. Like, nothing really happened to really get anything going for myself. The same can be said for the next match. They were quite desperate in the matches, as in like desperation to get the match over with. It felt like pin after pin. So you had Ryo, a hammer, who's massive by the way, Takuta Kato and Yasufumi Nakanoa versus Daichi Yasumoto, Kazumu Masa Yoshida and Kazumi Kakuta. This is, once again, it was quite hard hitting. It was just desperate. They were trying to get the pick up the win. Hammer, as I said, was huge, and they ended up picking up the win. Once again, this was just a 2-star match. It was not really much of anything. Following this up, we had Jackie Numazawa, who I've seen a few times through the death matches, and Yuichi Taniguchi. They faced the team of Masawa Takanashi and Ryuji Ito, who I've seen a few times as well. This was your typical BJW death match. Fans bring the weapons. Like, they had a toothbrush which had like spikes sticking out of it, but like a massive toothbrush. Like barbed wire jawbreakers, which was pretty cool. Like he hit a jawbreaker with a barbed wire on his mouth. Kicked the referee, so that was cool. So there's a break up in the pin, and instead of kicking out to break the pin by kicking the opponent, I think it was Numazawa kicked the referee just to break up the pin, which I found out was fun. It just ended with a pretty good spot. I rated this 2.25, so it was just above the other matches, but it still was pretty much just to get to the 3 main events you had going on later. Following this was Kobayashi and Tatsuka Moto versus Wakamatsuya and Ishikawa. Once again, Ishikawa was pretty like the standout of this matchup. Kobayashi is still crazy. Oh, you've watched him in CZW when he used to bite the light tubes and so forth like that, but he's still mental. Like, there was a senton into the barbed wire, which is a bit grim on that lot. Kobayashi's team picked up the winner, we can see here. Rated 2.5. This is where it got to a bit much of an average stage, but business picked up for the last 3 matches. So the match of the night, and the reason I watched this, was the Astronauts versus Strong BJ. This was just your ultimate like hoss battle. Kobayashi needs to be everywhere. Like, he was in my match of the year last year. He's just a beast, and I love everything he does. The brutal strikes, the crowd were loving it. They were beating the crap out of each other, which you want to see in these kind of matches. There was Kobayashi does his top rope power slam, which is always fun to see. He German 2 people. Like, this is just me basically fapping over Kobayashi. And it was just like there was desperation pins. They were hitting finishes. They couldn't get the job done. It ended in a draw, and I rated it 4.5 stars. It was just great. If you get the chance to watch it, just watch it. It's a very good matchup. Followed this was the 2 tournament first round matches. So a push pin death match was just full on tacks everywhere. Which was Miyamoto versus Kajiyama. It was a tap match, horrific gash on Micho from one of the attacks, like he was bleeding everywhere on his back. These guys can wrestle though, like there was some good wrestling in around there. Ended with the rolling pins in the tacks everywhere, and Miko picked up the win from this. Rated 3 stars, decent matchup, enjoyed it heavily. And to finish off BJW, we had the top Kodaka versus Kamatani. I've seen Kodaka a few times, he's pretty good for these kind of matches. Light tubes everywhere. It was a bloody mess. There was top of the ladder suplex, which was pretty cool. Headbutts and knees in the ladder. It was just a bloody mess. And Kamatani won with a Saito suplex into the light tube. So rated 3.5. Really enjoyed it as well. But yeah, that was a very good event for BJW. I do like to watch their shows, but I can't watch them as much because I don't have much access to them. But for hardcore wrestling, them and Freedom are up there is like perfect. This AAW Independence Day was the next card to watch out, so I just need to skim to this because I review a lot of crap for the podcast as well. So AAW Independence Day, this started with Davey Vega, who I know from the Besties in the World, which are not really around anymore as that kind of team. They've both gone heel versus Shane Hollister. It started with a beatdown. Hollister had a few near falls from this. He did a Canadian, which was pretty sloppy because he landed on the side, but it looked brutal. Davey Vega was about to lose, and Mike Artenberg dragged out the ref. There was awkward interferences in the match, but I didn't realise that AAW it's very much referee's discretion with this. But like Artenberg was just standing in the ring and they didn't know what to do. It kind of took away from the matchup. But Dave Vega picked up on this distraction, picked up the win. I rated 2 3/4. Above average matchup. Followed by this was One Call Manders versus Fred Yeehai, which was just an all-out brawl for 3 minutes. Yeehai's gone into an insane like Sheik character where he's just stabbing people with forks, and I love it. And it ended with just like a complete brawl. I rated 1 1/4 stars because it needed to be there on the show. It wasn't a great match because it's 3 minutes of wrestling, but it was what it needed to be. This was followed by Russ Jones versus AJ Alexander, which was just a squash match. Rust is an absolute beast. Just a full-on squash. He squashed AJ Alexander, had 1 bit of offense. I rated this 3/4 stars. It wasn't fun to watch. It was just to get Russ Jones over, which is fair enough. Lee and Knowles versus Karam and Silas Young was up next. So there was big strokes in this. They were all big guys. No C tag. So it stopped the wrestler getting into the ring because the ref didn't see the tag as your usual stuff. Knowles got the hot tag and hit a frog splash for the winner. I was enjoying this too much to kind of write notes. But I rated 3 stars. It was a pretty decent matchup. Starks. The next was a 4-way matchup between Billy Starks, Lady Frost, Sierra and Vert Vixen. Billy Starks is getting everywhere and I'm loving it right now. It was quite fast paced. It was very a desperate kind of matchup. Billy Starks hit an AA on the outside over the rope, which was pretty cool. She picked up the win with a senton. Rated 2.5. It was an average matchup. It didn't get the time it needed, I feel like, but it was good. Then we had ACH and Yarcy versus Ace Perry and Alexander Hammerstone. There was a jump start from the heels. No, it actually wasn't. ACH jump start the match. There was a beatdown in Yarcy for a lot of this. ACH got his hot tag. Yarcy kicked out of a big finish, and then they both picked up the win and won the titles. 3 1/4 stars are out. This decent matchup, very good to watch. This was followed by Christina Jane versus Heather Reckless. There was a massive size difference between this. Like Jane is huge to Reckless, and like Jane's not mass, like isn't like but like height stature. There was a lot of desperation in this match to like pick up the win straight away. Red Jones kept cheating for Christine Jane, which I don't know why he's not mentioned here. He was out there for most of the matchup. Jane randomly kicked Jones in the face. So there was a spot where I think it was supposed to be like the good old Ren Jones was supposed to be holding her, and then she was going to super kick out. Heather Reckless was supposed to duck. Ren Jones was going to get hit in the face. But that didn't happen. Reckless moved like a minute beforehand, and then for some reason, Christina Jane just carried on with the spot, stepped outside the ropes and just super kicked Ren Jones for no reason. The commentator didn't know how to cover it either. But yeah, this ended with Chris Jane picking up the win. I rated it a 2 1/4 stars. It was just below average. I think that spot kind of took it out for me. This was followed by Ren Jones versus Nate Webb. This was pretty much just a bit of a meh match, getting Ren Jones over. It was brawling outside for like 3 minutes of it, and the spotlights weren't up to pick up the match, so there's nothing I can much say. Ended in the ring, I rated 1.5 stars, but that was just from it. It was probably good live, but from a streaming aspect of watching it, like I couldn't see what was going on. This was followed by a 6-way scramble with the guys you can see on the screen right there. Jump start from everyone. It was just a big hoss match with Levi Everett in the middle of it. Levi Everett was definitely the fan favourite here. It was like your one move matchup, so one guy was hitting a move, rolling out, another guy hit a move after that. Something picked up the win, and I rated 3 stars, decent enough. Then the main event, Fitchett versus Manders versus Yehai, definitely the match of the night. I'm a big fan of Fitchett, and I'm glad he's getting a solo run. He's probably been having it a while, just not being able to keep going. This had Fred Yehai and Manders. Manders is having a good run as well. It's great to see him just being in the spotlight, because he's a great wrestler. So before Fitchett could come down, Manders and Yehai continued their brawl. Manders got his arm stuck in the top of the post, which was cool to see. Like, you don't get to see that. He was stuck in there for a half of the match. Doors got brought out and they were smashing each other with doors. Yehai was controlling this at that point, but then Manders unstuck himself on the rope and got a roll up to eliminate Yehai, and Yehai got pissed and obviously attacked him again. There was a lariat near fall from Manders, which I thought he was going to pick up the win. And then out of nowhere, Fitchett hit the Psycho knee to pick up the win. Rated 3.5. Really enjoyed this. AAW are definitely a good show. It's weird seeing squash matches in these kind of events, but like overall, very good card. And then I'm guessing we'll have to discuss this little pay-per-view called Ring of Honor: Death Before Dishonor. I'll be honest, this started surprisingly with the World Tag match, but when you get to the tag, not the World Tag, the World Title match, but when you get to the tag match at the end, I expected it. I enjoyed this matchup, but it didn't get enough time. Look at it, 11 minutes for a World Title match, and it was the second least longest matchup if you look at this, which is insane. I was getting really into it. So Cesaro, Gresham was trying to out-wrestle him, but Cesaro's too powerful. Claudio is just superb, but like Gresham's so smooth as well in these kind of matches. Gresham was trying to work on the knee of Cesaro, trying to beat the big man. There was brawl a bit outside, and they were working on different locks. And then, out of nowhere, Cesaro just picked up the win. Like, I rated 3.25 stars, but it just ended, and I was like, okay. I don't know what happened there, why it was so short, but like, fair enough, I guess. This was followed by the Righteous versus the Boys. So obviously the Righteous were picking on the Boys because they're the weaker link in the tag team, because Dalton Castle is the bigger guy. Dalton got a hat tag in and then he started throwing the Boys out of the ring, which is a spot that he does where he picks up one, rolls and throws him out. The other one rolls and he throws him out over to hit the other guys. Diver, it became like an all-out diver-thon. You had your typical one-move spots at this point, and then Dalton Castle picked up the win. I rated 2 3/4. I enjoyed it. Cagematch didn't clearly. I rate it, if you go from my ratings, it'll be if I refresh my page now, 6. It's 2 3/4. Very good matchup next. This would have been match of the night if you didn't have FTR versus the Briscoes. Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia. Garcia hit a monster headbutt at the start of the match, which kind of just picked up the pace. They didn't use much rope breaks, which you don't expect from a pure match. I blinked and 9 minutes had gone of this match. I was enjoying it so much. They had the slap battles. These two work really well together. Like, I saw a match with them on independent TV and I rated that 5 stars. Look, it was an hour draw, but it was very good. They started getting into the submission things. Daniel Garcia got a Regal stretch on, which was pretty cool to see, obviously, because Regal's commentating at this point. There was a spot pole driver from Garcia onto Yuta. There's proper desperation from both guys, and then Yuta's picking up the wins recently with a seatbelt pin, which I like getting, like a pin over, like Zack Sabre Jr. does the European clutch, and it's good to see a pin get over. I rate this 3 3/4. Good matchup. Give it a little bit more time, it would have broke the 4 stars for myself. This was followed by another great match, the two brothers Rush versus Dragon Lee. Rush did this spot where he goes out and he throws him into the guardrail, then he picks him up, throws him into the next guardrail, the other side throws him. It's fun to see. There was a spot which was cool as well, which Dragon Lee got overhead suplexed out on the apron, over the apron onto the floor. That was pretty cool to see as well. Lee was kicking out of Rush's finish, which you don't see that often. But Rush did the same to Lee. There was just the absolute brawl. Rush was feigned to be like injured, kind of like out of it. And Dragon Lee, being like the heartier brother, didn't know what to do. But obviously Rush then just beat the crap out of him and picked up the win with the bull get the horns. Read this 3 3/4 as well. Very good matchup. Enjoyed it as much as the Wheeler Yuta match. Martinez versus Deeb. I didn't expect to enjoy this as much as I did. Deeb's on a roll, but I didn't think he'd get enough time, but it definitely did, and it definitely was worth it. Fans really wanted Deeb to win this. There was some cool spots. Martinez got Deeb in a dragon sleeper in the ropes on the top turnbuckle. So decent subs from both girls at that point, wearing down each other, getting the desperation involved. Deeb got top rope German suplexed, which, you know, that's to see. She got the Serenity lock in on Martinez, and I thought, oh, this is it, Martinez is done now. But she showed some fire. She went for an OG drop, which was quite weak, but she kicked out of it anyway, so it was fine. If that was the finish, it kind of would have let it down. And then Martinez hit a Dragon Sleeper, like guillotine kind of stretch submission to pick up the win. Can't remember what that's called, so comment down below if you can let me know what that's called. Rate that 3.5 stars. Very fun matchup. So the penultimate match was Joe versus Leishful. So this started with Joe just jump starting the match, both guys beating each other up. Satnam Singh was down. Fucking Satnam Singh, I don't give a crap. He got ejected because the match hadn't started yet. The Lethal was working on the arm of Joe. It was very slow paced, this matchup, but you expect that from Joe matches from now on. Lethal combination for a near fall, then he hit a lethal injection and got a near fall on that as well. Joe then got hit with the title belt for Sunday Jut, where he came down to interfere and kicked out of that, which I'm not a big fan of. I love a title bout end of match kind of spot. He kicked out of that, and then Samoa Joe worked him into the Kanekina Kutch and picked up the win. Rated this 3.5 stars. It was a good matchup. It just didn't get the time it needed. But like when you have matches like this, some matches need to be cut out, except the world title match. And then obviously the match of the night, FTR versus Briscoes. I didn't write as many notes as I wanted for this because I was just in awe of this matchup. Dax was injured from the start, and they played up on this. He was getting battered for most of this match. It was just great tag team wrestling. Briscoe's got the first fall with the Doomsday device. Dax was bleeding from the chest from how many chops he took. He took a super back suplex. They were just cutting off Dax from the tag. It was just a good tag team match. I don't know how to get this over. It was turning into like a desperation chaos at this point. There was a bow shot from one of the Briscoes, which I think Cash kicked out of. They got the big rig to tie up the match. It was turning into an absolute mess at this point, but in a good time. There was a ref bunt, big rig kick out, Doomsday kick out. Dax hit the ref. No, it was one of the Briscoes hit the ref to stop a count, and the ref was like, "What the hell?" Overall, it was just a very good match, and they ended up hitting the rig to pick up the win. 5 stars, definitely. Like, I know my description of this doesn't sound like a 5-star match, but I just was in awe of the match. I didn't really want to start writing notes. So yeah, it sounds bad because it's what I do on this channel, but I was just in awe of this match. You need to see it, like, definitely. But that was the end of Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor. Match of the year candidate 100% already. Event of the year already. It's up there. Overall, awesome show. No matches let down the show. The opener annoyed me more than let it down because it needed more time, because Claudio Castagnoli versus Gresham, the technical wizard. But fair enough. But yeah, that's the end of the review. So as usual, please like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of all 3 events if you got around to watching them. Please, if you can, subscribe to us because we're trying to build the channel. Follow us on Twitter. Honor_club. Honor is spelt with a U because we are British. That's a thing. And you all guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I hope you have a rest of your good day. Adios. Fare thee well. Que sera, sera.